afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Monday, June 10th, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it is time to go beyond the news, beyond the charts, beyond the bell. Brought to you by our good friends over at the Blue Sky Trading Company for the clearest path to a live brokerage account. Live trading with Mike every day in the Discord. In this outstanding show, you have no reason to get your accounts or your education anywhere else. Check us out, bluesky.pro. It is Monday. God, I used to hate Mondays. Used to hate them with a passion. Like Garfield had nothing on me for as far as how much I hated my Mondays, right? Now, not so much. Now, I mean, listen, you enjoy the weekend. I highly encourage you guys, especially once you get doing pretty well at trading, to make sure you do take the time and the energy to relax and recharge that energy over the weekend. And so you can sit down today and take advantage of some of the excellent moves today. I came in today, guys, thinking it was not going to be the best movement day, and I love to be proven wrong in that particular assessment. But to break that down a little more, let's look at the big picture. First of all, this is an interactive show. Hello to Chris Riley, Trade Up, Edge, Yuhan, Reginaldo, Raxeth. Good to see each and every one of you. So we see here on the 4-hour chart, guys, we opened up here just above 19,000 and made a very quick run up to 19,100. Then we retraced quite a bit before finishing kind of near day's highs. Let's see what that looks like on the 5-minute chart. Oh, I didn't put my my little vertical line in here at the New York Open, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Very strong movement up. Now, interesting, guys, I really didn't feel the movement here, right? Like, we moved up, but you see we had some a lot of selling tails at the top of these candles. This was just kind of a drift up, right? Felt a little stronger in through here, and actually my thesis was a run up another probably 70 or 80 points. Didn't quite get that. Instead, moved down towards VWAP here, moved down towards VWAP here. VWAP, guys, I love that VWAP is becoming or is returning to being a really good metric of the market. Because again, other than this little part here, once we pushed strongly above VWAP just under an hour after the opening, it was pretty much all bullish action from there, other than these little retracements here, and we still finished not at but near the session highs, the day highs. So first of all, I did want to ask, for all of you that jumped on board the 55% off sale last week, which of course ended on Friday, anybody trading that account since then is green in that account? I'd love to hear that you're green. If you're red, that's okay too. You can let me know. Let's go to the ES here on the 4-hour. Oh, I know it's over there somewhere. Okay. So, again, very similar pattern. In fact, I think it's time to add a little bit of a box to this. Let's see. We need a rectangle up here. So, because I like having my midpoint. Yeah, we'll keep that green. That's nice and purty. All right. Jennifer says, yes, just started trading to the green day. Jennifer, nice. Congratulations. Congratulations. Just counted an account today. Actually, looking forward to trading it tomorrow. Well, Riley, congratulations on joining the Blue Sky family here. We are happy to have you. Okay, Israel, nice to see. Vera, nice to see as well. Yeah, guys, it was a really good day for me. I want to just show the one trade that I started off the day with. Had a couple of, I was 3 of 4 on the day. First trade was a loser. But boy, this trade right here, I was playing for what I call a VWAP tap bounce. We moved in here to VWAP. This is on CL, right? Moved up here, had a very, very strong. Now, sadly, I always am honest, guys. Sadly, this trade was only on paper because I'm only paper trading the GC and the CL through this week until moving next week. But it would have been one of my bigger winners of the last probably the last 2 or 3 weeks. But still nice to, even when it's on paper, guys, and you're easing back into certain asset classes, it's always nice to see this this win here. But hey, 2 of 3 on the NQ. I did put some real money in my pocket today, so I can't complain about that. But yeah, just a nice steady day. Boy, gas is gonna be expensive tomorrow. I'm glad I filled up yesterday, right? But just kind of one of those nice steady days, right? Not a lot of crazy or herky-jerky movement, just a nice smooth steady move up, and then nice pops off of VWAP. I mean, if you just kept kind of, and actually, guys, if you had a mean reverting attitude today, right? Like, because not mean reverting, the general consensus was today was going to be a mean reverting day, and even though it was an up day, it kind of was a little bit, right? After this pop, we reverted to what is quite literally the mean here at VWAP, and we did it yet again. And my guess is we trickle down here a little bit. Well, this session's about to close, and then the VWAP resets. But honestly, if you came into today with a trend mentality and picked up the trend, you did well. If you came into today with a mean reverting mentality and you took these mean reversions down to VWAP, and I mean, whether you want to, I've accidentally just deleted that. That's not good. I'll pick that back up. It was a good day. YM had a nice day around VWAP as well, guys. I got to be better with the bonds. I got to look at those a little more. But guys, yeah, I mean, just one of those days. Traded, but over traded heavily. 180 contracts. Rich, we've talked about this. Hello, Tiana. Nice to see you as always. So 180 contracts, I'm assuming, is at least 30 or 40 trades. We got to get you under 10, Rich. We got to get you under 10. So we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. So anyway, guys, really, this is just there's not as much to learn from a day like today as there is other days. Now there's days you can learn every day in the markets, right? I don't care if it's a big day, big range day, small range day, lots of movement, not a lot of movement, mean reverting, trend days, both, either or, and, but, whatever. There's a lot of ways to learn from markets on a given day. Today was just, again, things just kind of played out. Doesn't mean you took every setup or you saw every move coming in advance. It was a very lower stress. I never want to say stress free or even low stress, but lower stress day than normal. Again, it was just, honestly, it was kind of a fun day. I made a few trades. I got a lot done. Both personally and professionally in between some of these trades. I usually like to have a cooling off period after some of my trades, guys. You're not often going to see me take trades, more than one trade over the course of like 10 or 15 minutes. Usually after I close out a trade, especially if it's a winner, unless I see something really juicy setting up like right at that moment, I'm going to tend to take even just 5 to 10 minutes where I let things decompress a little bit. So it's always good to do that. So with that, guys, I think comes the lesson of the day, and I think it's something we're going to talk about a little bit more. And actually, I was going to get into specifically talking to those of you who have recently joined the Blue Sky family, either on the 55% off sale last week, et cetera, et cetera. But Rich brought up the over trading thing. So again, I know I do. There's themes I hit on this show, right? And sometimes I feel the need to go back to back on certain themes, right? It's about 7 or 8 themes that I harp on over the course of. You watch this show for about 7 or 8 weeks, you're going to hear these themes, and then I go back and kind of restate them, restructure them. If you're and the reason for that is if you're anything like me, when you first traded, you're very stubborn. Okay, I have a very hard head. I'm both literally and figuratively. More figuratively than literally. I don't like bang my head against walls or anything. As a trader, that's not advisable. Even if you want to punch a hole in the wall every now and then, don't do that. That's not very classy. Stay classy, San Diego. But anyway, over trading is something I talked to somebody this weekend. An old client reached out just to catch up a little bit, and they also recently made the transition into day trading futures. Somebody that I taught options to many years ago. Retired now, recently retired, and has decided his goal is very simple, guys. His goal is about $200 a day in trading futures, and I talked him through some of the prop firms, places like Blue Sky. Make sure you get a live brokerage account, right, as opposed to other places which shall remain nameless, that only put you in live sim and seem to be hemorrhaging customers left and right if their Discord is anything to go by. But over trading is I think, especially with the prop firms, guys, and I've been very honest with you guys about the prop firms, right? And yes, I'm doing this show on behalf of one of the prop firms. Prop firms are both the best and worst thing that's ever happened to retail traders, and it's the positives far outweigh the negatives, right? Accessibility, you guys can get. I won't talk through the whole process, but I just spent a couple of weeks and a lot of paperwork to get a Rhythmic feed and a brokerage account and connect them through a platform and do all that stuff. And now, to start your evaluation, all you need is your debit card, right? You cannot have a single piece of trading software on your computer and you get into Blue Sky. You get a free license with NinjaTrader. You get a free Rhythmic or CQG CQG, I think, feed going through your evaluation and your Blue Live. Obviously, you got to pay for that in brokerage, but the barrier to entry is next to non-existent, right? And like last week, when Blue Sky ran their 55% off sale, their 25K account was like 65 bucks. So let's say for $65, that was your potential barrier to entry to a live brokerage account, right? Not even withstanding the 25% consistency, get your sign up fund, refunded. We know all that, but that's just literally. So to get into a evaluation account, your barrier to entry was $65 and about 4 to 5 minutes, right? Like that's literally it, as opposed to, whatever, right? Time, energy, money, paperwork, faxing, emailing, all scanning, all that good stuff. But with that comes, I think, overtrading is becoming more and more of an issue all the time as people go through these accounts. Okay, they want to pass in a day, or they want to make the minimum or the maximum consistency, whether it's the 40% consistency in the premium accounts or the 25% consistency to get your sign-up fee back. It still feels like, even if we reduce that to, let's say, just make $500 a day, people are going to try and make all that in the first trade, and then they don't, and then that leads to over trading. Okay, so you guys, I can't emphasize this enough, right? If you are somebody who is consistently over trading, okay, and if you are, you don't need me to diagnose that. You need to set a maximum trades, and honestly, guys, I would do no more than 5, because then you're going to have to be really picky. You're only going to get trades that you've absolutely fallen in love with, right? And you have to stop yourself after that. Yes, some platforms, some systems, some setups allow you to lock yourself out. But guys, honestly, that's an extreme thing to do. You shouldn't need to do that just to not overtrade. Guys, you have to have some level of discipline in this game. Yes, there's certain things that you can do to help along with that discipline, right? And some of that is something like myself, a trading coach, right? If you're trying to train in a gym, right? You need to stay accountable, and you need to stay, you have to have discipline, right? Having some kind of personal trainer who, if you don't show up to your workout, is going to call you or show up at your house and drag you kicking and screaming there, right? I have a buddy that literally does that for a living, that he's very expensive. He only takes a few clients at a time. But if somebody doesn't show up for something or saying they're not feeling great today, he literally will tell them, okay, well then I'll meet you at the doctor's office. We'll see what's wrong with you. It's amazing how many people show up at that point, right? But anyway, that's yes, that's kind of an extreme example, but you have to show the discipline. You have to hold yourself accountable in trading. So when I see somebody, I don't mean to pick on you, Rich, but when I see, talk about consistently having trouble over trading, I need you to reel that in, and I need you to start doing that tomorrow, right? I think we agree no more than 10 trades per day, right? 100 and some odd account, 100 some out of contracts is too much. So, so Philip says, ask yourself how much pain you want to go through until you're happy with your trading, and yes, that's part of it, right? At some point, this is the equivalent. Like, we all did this as a kid, right? At some point, you put your hand on the stove, right? Actually, for me, it was my chin, because I was leaning up trying to see something on the thing. I was like 4 or 5 years old, right? Had a burn mark for a couple of weeks, went away. It thankfully wasn't permanent, nothing terrible. It's not hiding under here, right? But, there are certain things. Now, sure, if somebody had seen me about to do that, they would have told me no. And sometimes, you need to do that in order to realize that's not something you should do. But in trading, and again, that's part of the downfall of some retail traders in relation to the prop firms, you can basically just reset, right? And mentally, as I've worked with more and more prop firm traders, guys, I see people almost mentally like pretending like that reset never happened, right? Like they blow their account first thing in the morning, maybe they make 5 trades in the opening half hour, and then they just go, okay, reset, whatever. Now, obviously, lower cost and, live sim type setups can make that happen a lot easier. Not to name any names when you're doing $20 accounts, right? So really all you've lost is a few hours of your time and $20. But in all honesty, guys, that time, the time it takes you to, or the time that you spend reinforcing those bad habits, and if you're not willing to embrace those pain points and understand that unless I change something, I'm not going to pass this eval. And even if for some lucky reason you happen to pass that, you're not going to pass the blue live. You're not going to get to the point in brokerage where you can actually make a withdrawal. Okay, so you've got to follow those steps, and you have to be willing to embrace some of those pain points. Okay? All right, guys, so I want to move to the trader mailbag since we got a pretty active crowd today. Riley says I take 3 trades a day at most. That's awesome, Riley. Appreciate that. If you have any questions for the trader mailbag, guys, feel free to reach out to me, Trader Matt on Discord or matt@TiresiasTrading.com. So, guys, I'm going to leave it up to you. If you have any questions that you would like to see answered today, now is the time. Also, because some of you emailed me when I talked about this last week, guys, I have officially launched the waiting list for my new course, which launches next week. So you can go ahead and sign up for that. Signing up for the waitlist is not an obligation to buy, but you can check that page out there. I just put it in the chat. And if you sign up for the waitlist, I will reach out to you personally when the course is available 1 week from today. So, 3 to 5 trades is plenty, Michael. And again, scalping. Let's talk about scalping for just a second here, okay? So when I'm saying scalping, I mean like a lot of us trade the NQ, and I've got the chart up here. So I say anything less than 10 handles in the NQ is scalping. So if you're trying to get in, where are we now? 19,092, and you're trying to get up to 19,100, right? You're buying here for just a few points. That's what I would consider scalping, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are people who do pretty well at that. And again, it's everything else. You got to show me, right? You got to show me your reward to risk, show me your average winner, show me your average loser, show me your winning percentage, right? You show me all that, and not over a week or two, over at least 6 to 8 months, if not a year and a half or more. And then I'll say, okay, you're clearly doing this, right? And I have some friends who do well with this. In fact, I'm working with one to develop a little something right now, just something pretty simple that I can work with some clients on, right? But because people will say that, oh, if I want to make this type of money, I have to trade X amount, right? But think about this, guys. Forget trying to scalp here or there. If you had just gotten in for whatever reason, let's say you got a setup here at 1930. I mean, you had almost 100 points to run at that point. And again, the higher the NQ gets, the less percentage a 50 to 100 point move makes, right? Like when we were trading the NQ at 11 or 12,000, 100 point move is very large. 1,000 point move even more so. Now, if we get above 20,000, let's say we get up to 20,500, 1,000 point move at that point is not even a correction. It's not even 5%. Okay, so we actually want these indexes as high as possible because it gives us a little more room to do the things that we need to do. For those of us playing for 20 to 25 to 30 handles in the NQ, a lot easier to do when the NQ is at 20,000 as opposed to 10 or 11,000, right? So, question, any advice on how to finish your day on a high water mark? How many wins do you recommend stopping after? So, Doji, this is actually something I think every trader constantly needs to work on, and I'm working on as well, right? Because in theory, the saying goes, if you're a successful trader, you're a consistently profitable trader, you shouldn't, no trade should affect any other trade, right? Every trade should be in a vacuum. Because if you were, for example, say you set a $2,000 profit target, right? And once you hit that in your live account, you're done trading. Well, who's to say then 3 more great trades don't come along and you cost yourself a $5,000 day, right? And there's some truth to that. At the same time, when especially if you can, if you nail your first two out of 3 out of 4 trades of the day, and you're sitting up there $2,500, $3,000, $3,500. Boy, I will be honest, it gets really hard for me to pull the trigger when I'm up over $2,000 on a given day, right? Now, it doesn't mean I never do it, and doesn't mean I don't have some of those days that I just talked about. But for me, you're going to see, of my positive days, you're going to see a lot of them that start with a 1 or 2 as opposed to a 3 or 4, right? Just for that reason. Now, what I've done instead of necessarily holding for much bigger winners is I've gradually, I want to emphasize the word gradually, increase my position size over the years, right? When you have poor position size in combination with over trading, that's how you blow out accounts in minutes as opposed to hours, right? So honestly, if you get to the point where based on the day, right? Let's say it's kind of a wild day and you cut a couple of good trades and you're up pretty good on the day. I'm not saying don't trade, okay? But I'm also saying be very careful and make sure you only take really good setups from that point. One of the things that affects me as a trader, and I've mentioned this on the show, and I know this because I've spent years journaling my trading, both my individual trades and my my mental state day to day, right? Is that if I have a pretty green day, and let's say I'm anything over $1,500 or over $2,000, and I retrace that, right, and I get down to maybe, and this has happened to me, and not recently, but actually I remember back in February I had a day I was up $2,700, and I made a really bad trade to end the day, two bad trades actually, and I ended up only up plus 800 on the day. That was pretty devastating, right? Still green, still a day the me of 6 years ago would have loved to have had, but definitely, not left money on the table, flushed it down the toilet, right? And so that affected me for 3 or 4 days afterwards in my trades, letting trades that are winners go red on me. And I don't mean I'm up $200 and they retrace. And if I'm up more than $500 to $600 on a trade at any point, I get really tempted to slap a stop in at break even or trail my stop up. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm trying to not do that because I want to stick with my, again, with where my initial profit target is. But often once I take, in fact, it's a rule of mine, the first profit target that I take, whether it's, my position size is usually 3 to 4 minis. If I take 1 off or 2 off or whatever at that first profit target, the rest has to be break even. That's my rule. I will not lose on the rest of the trade because, again, maybe you make $900 on half your position, and then you lose $1,100 on the next half. That's just unacceptable to me. That's not solid trading. So again, know yourself as a trader. Know what things affect you. Doji, if you're in a situation where you're consistently giving away profits at the end of the day, maybe try stopping at lunchtime for a couple of weeks. Just say, you know what, my afternoons, I'm going to watch some trading videos. I'm going to make sure my journal is up to date. I'm not going to trade the afternoons. Since I don't know if that's going to help you or hurt you. I just, if over trading is an issue and you give back a lot at the end of the day, maybe give that a whirl, right? Okay. Gradually, yes. Yes, Michael, yes. Question of the Blue Sky team. Okay, Maverick, I can't answer that for Blue Sky because I don't work directly for them. And but as somebody who I mentioned my course a little while ago, and some of the I have people that have to pay that too when they're overseas. I honestly I don't know. Maybe some firms absorb that, or maybe they're honestly going through means where that might not be the most ethical. I don't know. All I can tell you about Blue Sky, I can tell you a lot, but it's a smaller team, smaller company. They're very much like me and my education company, which is just me, right? Neither one, they are not interested in being the biggest. I'm not interested in being the biggest. We're interested in being one of, if not the best, and the place where serious individuals come to trade, right? You'll notice on my site, there's no pictures of I drive a nice car. I live in a pretty nice house. You know how many pictures of that stuff is on my website? 0. You know how many pictures of the very nice engagement ring I just bought my fiance are? Well, they're all over her page. But I don't put that on social media. I don't put any of that kind of stuff out there. At least on my personal accounts, not on my business accounts, right? Because I hate that. I hate when this is a true story, guys. Okay. There is a studio in Chicago. I'm right near Chicago, and I know there's at least a couple in LA. There's probably some in New York as well, that are specifically their photography studios for social media influencers, right? Whatever that means. And again, most trading educators out there, guys, let me say it, trading educators are really not trading educators. They're influencers, or they're trying to be. There are studios where they have a setup of a mock-up of an interior of a private jet with these beautiful like 8K screens outside each window that can show wherever, like you want to say you're flying over the Grand Canyon, boom, they'll throw that up there. You want to say you're flying over, Rome or Italy, or, Rome or Sicily or France or wherever, they'll throw it up there, and these people take pictures and lie. That's what they're doing. They're freaking lying about what they're doing. Okay. That's the same energy some of these prop firms that have their $19 evals give off, right? They're the same thing. Right now, it's unfortunate that those are the first people most people seeking out education interact with, right? Because they're making the most money, because they're promising very unrealistic results. They're buying the best ads and keywords and all that kind of stuff. So that's who you're exposed to, right? In our situation, it's that's just kind of how we have to be built. Unfortunately, what you're seeing, and granted this hasn't happened to me yet, is a lot of, because of the flat out fraud that's going on in my business. Again, hasn't happened to me, knock on fake wood, hopefully it won't, but there is a lot of companies like PayPal, Stripe, some of these other companies who just are not doing business with those people anymore, not letting them use the payment providers. I run a very tight ship. I have what I say is very controlled. You're never going to hear me promising. This show is basically the closest I get to talking about my day-to-day returns. You're never going to see me promising that to anybody else. Blue Sky's the same way. What is on Blue Sky's FAQ? There's one right there that says, is this an easy way to make money? Well, no, it's not. Right? And as opposed to, hey, all you got to do is sign up for 20 of our accounts and you can copy trade them. Oh, by the way, we need a $150 fee for each account. Next thing you know, they got $3,000 out of you before you've ever made a single trade, right? So, a real trade, and they're not even real trades at that point. So, it sucks. You guys got to pay that VAT, right? That sucks. Okay. Honestly, though, there's not a whole lot that smaller market people like us can do about that. Okay. Honestly, I mean, this is. I know we all have a lot of very strong opinions about politics and politicians at this point, but the best advice I can have you is find out who represents you in the, country-wise EU or whatever, and just write them and say this is BS, because it is. I agree. But yeah, that's about all we can do on that. So I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for that. So yeah, it's an internet problem. But guys, again, don't get too caught up in some of this stuff, right? Like I always say, I keep my education products priced pretty competitively, right? You don't see me offering $5,000 courses, right? Which a lot of people in this business do. Most are in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. I try to keep everything under $1,000. Not everything does, but most things are. That being said, if this, let's say I did sell a $5,000 course, okay, and it helped you to make, I teach you one setup that gives you 200 trades a year that averages, average trade is a win of $150, right? Do the math there. That's worth every penny. I understand, guys. There's nothing wrong. This is capitalism. This is pure capitalism. There's nothing wrong with seeking out lower priced alternatives or seeking out competitive pricing and all of that. But guys, the prop firm business, the trading education business is no different than every other business out there. Guys, ultimately you get what you pay for, right? Most of the time. So it sucks. It is what it is. I'm not picking on you, but yeah, there's very little that we can do. I think there's ways to build in certain things, but that you're talking about, consulting tax people and doing all this and doing all that. And ultimately then, to cover those costs, you got to raise the price above what the VAT would have been anyway. So it sucks, but it is what it is. You're Europe, at least you got free healthcare, right? So, all right, guys, we are wrapping up today on another edition of Beyond the Bell. Nice day today. Really nice day. These are the days we look forward to. If you didn't make money today, it's all right. The goal is to get to the point where on days like this, you're almost always making money. So, guys, that concludes another edition of Beyond the Bell. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night.